Hi, I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And today I'm going to give you a bit of an audio-visual presentation. It's not going to have many words for me except maybe where I might need to read something. And it's going to be based on a video that many of us have seen where Gensler is talking to Draper. And I'm going to end my video with that because I had started to do a video with it and I dragged my feet and then everyone else covered it. So I decided to cover it in a different way. This is that different way. I hope you get the message. I hope you like. I hope you subscribe. And I hope you come back. But let's take in this audio-visual display. And I'll just speak occasionally and use the videos to do the talking.
You know, it's really interesting. It's like all the other transformational technologies. The resistance is only in fear. The resistance, so if you just plow through your fear, this thing is going and it's going to completely transform the world and we're going to have an awesome world. But the fear is constantly brought to light, whether the press writes about it or the government issues some proclamation or some other government issues a proclamation. It instills fear into people's heads, and if you can get the fear out of their heads and just go, no fear, we're going forward, that's usually the way the future goes. It's really amazing. You always think the worst, you're always worried about the worst, but the best things usually happen. And so it's just, in my mind, just a matter of time. And the more fear we impose on these tokens and Bitcoin and the blockchain, the longer it will take, but it's happening.
Okay, you can't have a business where people can invent a currency out of thin air and think the people who are buying it are really smart. It's worse than tulip bulbs. Okay, it won't end well. It'll eventually blow up. It's a fraud.
Key takeaways. Fiat money is a government-issued currency that is not backed by a commodity such as gold or anything else. Fiat money gives central banks greater control over the economy because they can control how much money is printed, might I add, out of thin air.
You both have said some pretty nasty things about Bitcoin recently. Which one of you hates Bitcoin more?
Well, I set a high standard. I don't know whether Jamie can top me or not.
I don't want to be the Bitcoin spokesman. You know, just beware.
A few days afterwards, he tried the same trick, and again the villagers came to his help. But shortly after this, a wolf actually did come out from the forest and began to worry the sheep. And the boy, of course, cried out, "Wolf! Wolf!" still louder than before. But this time, the villagers, who had been fooled twice before, thought the boy was again deceiving them, and nobody stirred to come to his help.
Even great investors like Warren Buffett, who would take the other side of that. And markets are always people that are going to go long and short, and Warren Buffett certainly been more right than wrong, but I'm kind of curious in the context of what some Nobel laureates and even Warren Buffett or Nouriel Roubini has used as kind of harsh words about crypto and your predictions.
So here's the way I look at it. Well, first, you might want to listen to me because when it was at 230 on air, I predicted that it would go to 10,000 in 3 years, and 3 years almost to the day it hit 10,000.
Tim,
time. So one must ask ourselves if the banks in the U.S. are aware that mobile wallets are increasing in popularity. I'm sure you've received offers from your bank in the emails or in the apps saying, use our mobile wallet. They're trying to get us there. And they see platforms like Coinbase, which just recently went public. You can only imagine who bought most of the shares, the banks. Don't think for 1 minute that the banks in the United States are not going to get their hands on controlling of these mobile wallets, because your phone will be your wallet. It's coming. Matter of fact, it's not just coming. It's already here.
let me ask you about Bitcoin, because that was another famous comment that you made, that it's a fraud. Now we see institutional...
Which I regret making. The blockchain is real. You can have crypto dollars and yen and stuff like that. ICOs, you gotta look at everyone individually. The Bitcoin, was always to me, was what the governments are gonna feel about Bitcoin. It gets really big. And I just have a different opinion than people. I'm not interested that much in the subject at all.
So I look, those guys are wonderful. Warren Buffett, just so you get the idea, I have a lot of Bitcoin, so I really care about how it does. Warren Buffett has a lot of fiat currency. He has a lot of dollars. He doesn't like the fact that all of a sudden there's a better currency. And he's going, wait, what about my money? And meanwhile, all this stuff is coming, and he's going, oh, wait, no, I want dollars. We should all work in dollars. This is what I have. Same thing with Jamie Dimon. He's going, we control all your dollars. We are a bank, and we control all of your dollars. And then he's starting to see like 1%, 2%, 5% of some of his big accounts leaving. He's saying, whoa, where are you taking all that money? And they're saying, well, I'm going into a better currency. And he's not able to provide that better currency, any kind of service around that better currency. So these guys are moving it into Coinbase, or they're moving it into Binance or some.
I'm trying to tease out, though, you've got a point of view. It's an important point of view that a lot of people want to hear.
I am going to interject that I paid special attention to Gensler as he conducted this interview of Mr. Tim Draper. And he seemed very strongly to represent, to me, establishment thinking and defensive for the banking system. Whereas it appears Mr. Draper is just telling it like it is. So let's listen to him tell us how it is.
But on the other side, there are economists, like the Bank of International Settlement just did this big report this past weekend and said, not so fast, centralized fiat currency has worked. It hasn't, I'm going to agree with you, it hasn't worked perfectly. I mean, we've had a lot of crises, we've had a lot of bank runs, we've had a lot of failures, and central bankers don't get it right on a regular basis. But what they're saying is that right now the asset is too volatile in value. I'm just focusing on one thing, to really be a true medium of exchange and a unit of account.
Let me hit the volatile thing. Okay, the way I look at it is when people say, isn't Bitcoin really volatile? I think, oh yeah, this is great. One Bitcoin is still worth one Bitcoin. It's just all these other currencies are volatile as they disappear from view. I mean, they're in panic mode. This is panic mode. You're seeing it go way up, way down, way up, way down. It's panic mode because they see that there's a better way to do things, and that continues to happen.
But
in 2020, that's last year, folks, and it said that federally chartered banks and thrifts may provide custody services for crypto assets. Yes, the road has already been paved. The road has been paved for a year for the banks to make sure they get in a position to profit from an unstoppable revolution, which is the upheaval of the financial systems and taking us to a digital economy.
Jamie Dimon doesn't give a ish about Bitcoin, but JPMorgan is now pitching an in-house Bitcoin fund to wealthy clients, August 5th, 2021. JPMorgan, led by Bitcoin skeptic Jamie Dimon, quietly unveils access to a half-dozen crypto funds 6 days ago. Warren Buffett to buy 700 million shares in Bank of America. In June of 2017, this article was published. The interest in Bank of America? Bank of America is clearing crypto ETPs for hedge funds in Europe, sources say, in July 20th of this year. And we know they also are behind Ripple.
No, the banks are not going to let all that money be made without putting their hands in it. And their hands, as you can see, have been in it for years. But these two banks are not alone. There's another article here that shows hundreds of U.S. banks will soon allow customers to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin. Now, the most people who are just now getting involved in cryptocurrencies, when they think cryptocurrencies, they think Bitcoin. There's plenty more coins out there besides Bitcoin. And I'm going to show that here momentarily. But the point we're making here is that the banks are getting involved very heavily. And how is this knowledge going to benefit us, the same as how is this knowledge that our phones will be, our wallets will benefit us?
And that was the topic of that video. And in this video, how will this knowledge benefit us? The banks have been talking their books. They have been telling you to be afraid, be very afraid, which is a common tactic. As you've seen in my other video, Real Eyes Realize Real Lies. And so the banks have been talking their books, and now what about our books that they seem so interested in controlling? Well, we're going to finish this video out with Tim Draper's advice, which I encourage many to listen to, and then we'll let it wrap itself up with the all-familiar video of where he describes the entire game plan and strategy that the big banks do. Let's continue.
Here's what I do want everybody to do. Look, for those of you, about half of you don't have any Bitcoin, here's my recommendation, just so you know it and you feel this. I mean,
I'm going to interrupt there and say, if you know it and you feel this video, I am not a Bitcoin maximalist. I am not a financial advisor, and I am not a legal representative or attorney. I am DK Will, and this is DK Will Talk About It. And I think I'm talking about, through this visual display, audio visual display, something that will help us to improve our lives and our financial standing, because what's happening is what's happening. And Draper seems to me to pull the curtain away so that we can see who really is the Wizard of Oz.
I mean, the simple thing to do, go set up a Coinbase account and go, put some money into it and then buy some Bitcoin. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it kind of gives you the whole feeling that I get, which is go buy a ledger or one of these like USB things, plug it in, download some cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or whatever else you want to download, and then pull it off and then look at it and then look up at that big bank building with all those fancy people with their suits on that are using your money. And look back at your USB kind of ledger thing here, and then look back at that bank and realize that you are going to have complete control over your money, and you're not going to be throwing it into a bank where it gets manipulated and moved and whatever happens to it and run on or politically whipped or whatever. And suddenly you've got your money. And if you want to take that money to another country, you take it down. You plug that thing in, you take it right down. It's so simple and it's freeing. All of a sudden, it's like now we're starting to realize that there's still the geographic borders, but they're less important. And there is this global thing that's virtual that's on top of it all. And I actually think that now, I mean, you were a part of the government. Governments are going to need to compete, and they have to compete in this new way, right?
And if you mentioned Jamie Dimon, so let's bring it back to Jamie and JPMorgan. What do you think is going to be the thing that they will have to change the most or lose market share, and somebody else is going to do better, faster, serve their clients better than JPMorgan or Goldman Sachs?
You can just hear the bankers panicking right now.
But what
just
what
feel
line,
the panic in their voices. But here's
business that is most
well, here's what always happens. First, the first thing that happens is they try to go, oh, it's nothing. And they did that. I mean, that's with every new industry, every new technology comes along, the powers that be, the incumbents, the status quo, all say, it's nothing. Don't ignore the man behind the curtain. This is nothing. And then all of a sudden it's too big to get in there. You know, they're going, oh my God, I got to face this thing. And then they all line up and they wrap their arms together and they say, we're not letting this happen. And then it keeps going. And then they say, okay, well, let's sue them.
SEC.
Or let's go get the government.
There's
Legislation.
another thing, too. They adopt the technology. I think.
No, that's
Defend
at
the
end.
establishment.
No, this is the last thing they do. No,
Yeah, it's like
it's
there's
after.
seven
It's
stages
after.
of grief, I
Right.
know.
It's after the press planning.
Do you see the guard? Gary Gensler, the guard. Did you see that, folks? I'm gonna let this finish out. But did you see that?
They plant the press stories. They put out lawsuits. They create as much of a fuss as possible. They try to get their government friends involved. And then they go, oh God, this thing's happening. And then they go, okay, what are we going to do? How do we get it? So then they either make or buy, as all great companies do. They go, am I going to make this or am I going to buy it? Am I going to make an exchange, or am I going to make a new kind of wallet? Am I going to bring it in so my clients can use this? I know it's there. I know it's better than what we've got.
All at that stage already. I think.
We are at that stage already, folks. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It. And we just watched the man tell us the strategy that's occurring. And so armed with that knowledge, I hope that we are better positioning ourselves, because they don't want us to have control of our money. And what little control we have left, they are trying to take through legislation, through lawsuits. And so the banks have talked their books to load up. Now we need to do what we must do to protect our books. I hope you have a wonderful day. I want to thank you for stopping by. This is DK Will. DK Will Talk About It. Please like, please subscribe, and please come on back.